وقتا ممتعا مشاهدينا الكرام نرجوه لكم مع المسلسل الفني الأجنبي المنوع مشاهد سينمائية.
Hello, and welcome to Stand By, Lights, Camera, Action. I'm Leonard Nimoy here on a soundstage where films are made, and that's what this show is all about, the movie business. And we're going all over the world to show you how films are being created. On an earlier show, we visited the set of Never Say Never Again, starring Sean Connery as British Secret Service Agent 007. Today, we'll be stopping by to see more behind-the-scenes activity. What has its own wilderness area that includes a lake, a waterfall, and a river with rapids? Believe it or not, Universal Studios. It's no wonder the Universal Studios tour is the nation's third most popular tourist attraction. You'll go on the tour by just staying in front of your TV. The war was over. The only survivors were street animals, dogs, cats, and rats. From them, a new race of mutants evolved in this animated film called Rock and Rule, with an original soundtrack by Cheap Trick, Debbie Harry, Lou Reed, Iggy Pop, and a special performance by Earth, Wind, and Fire. With us today is one of the producers of Rock and Rule. Michael Hirsch will tell us how a producer gets it all together. We also have a first on our show, a how-to demonstration, how to make your own props and effects for film. It's fascinating. Sean Connery, star of Never Say Never Again, lived in a slum-like section of Edinburgh, Scotland. When he was 9, he started working to help support himself. At one point, he was going to school and working 7 days a week delivering milk. At 16, he joined the Navy. By the time he was 22, he was the Scottish representative in a Mr. Universe contest. That led to a small part in a show, which led to stage work in London, then to work on television, and of course, in films. It's a real rags-to-riches story. Hey, that'd make a good film. Which brings us to the making of a good film. Let's go on the set of Never Say Never Again.
Here at Elstree Studios, just outside central London, some of the most spectacular sets for some of the most exciting scenes of the new James Bond adventure, Never Say Never Again, have been created. Although some of the pieces of the huge cavern set are still being carried in by the prop men.
Where'd you want him?
Starring as James Bond, Secret Agent 007, is Sean Connery. And when the evil group Spectre tries to hold the world to ransom with a devastating act of nuclear terrorism, Bond's special skills are called into play. Directed by Irvin Kershner on locations around the world, the final action at Elstree is so complex, Kershner, who directed The Empire Strikes Back, brought in a special unit director, Mickey Moore, to work with him.
Just walk it once for me, please. Walk the whole thing. Just move the camera back a minute, boys. Now let me see the guy crossing the back, Billy.
With Bond on the trail of Spectre, members of the special effects team prepare to blow up the huge statue. Explosive charges are prepared very carefully so that they will explode on cue as the movie bullets are fired at Connery, who will be hiding behind the statue. In any scene with explosives and stunt action, preparation and safety are all important, as one mistake can be very dangerous.
Right, here we go then, lads. Here we go. Davey, keep that corridor clear. Yes, corridor is clear, sir. Right, roll the cameras. Ready? Speed, speed, speed. Okay, roll cameras. Rolling. Action, Sean.
Just think the thing is important. How easy to make sure I'm down here with just straight across the It'll work great. They look so much better with film and Sean than with Bill. Now, the only thing that's going to be uncomfortable is to get the dust started. Action!
Connery, as youthful and fit as ever, does his own stunts, including the start of this swing across a chasm hanging from a rope. As part of the story of Never Say Never Again calls for Spectre's men and a huge nuclear bomb to be exploded in a mountain cavern, the stuntmen and actors prepare to make the cross in special gear, all built in the studio. By the way, the drop to the ground from the rope is 65 feet.
I'm going to see that ledge. We know it's there. I'm going to put some rocks in there.
Up a little bit. I think it's
Pan it up just a little.
As James Bond follows his evil quarry, special effects become more and more a key element of the film. What are special effects? Special effects expert Dave Watkins explains.
Special effects are a vast field, really. They generally cover most of the engineering factors, including mechanical engineering, explosives, robotry, which we now have to deal with. Science fiction films now are getting more and more intriguing and all need more gadgets and more inventiveness, because young kids of today now are asking so many questions that they're not fooled very easily anymore, and we have to try and keep pace with that. It's not easy sometimes, but the inventiveness of it is a very big challenge.
One of the most spectacular sequences in Never Say Never Again involves a huge explosion, which will tear apart the $1 million set that has been created on the Elstree Studios stage.
There's nothing coming down. 10 times that. Come on. More.
As the action develops, the series of explosions start. Rocks and debris are beginning to fall around Connery, a catastrophe that is created by the special effects men. Protective umbrellas and coverings are used for the crew and the cameras, as the rocks and the dirt are real and not papier-mâché props.
Start the dust.
John, rocks, start the rocks. Rocks, come. Come on, bigger rocks. Cut.
Getting ready for the huge explosion, special effects team members go over the intricate firing plan as controlled by their special effects board, which is wired to all of the explosive charges. A tense moment as Connery prepares to make a 35-foot jump into a lake. Even the hardened professionals of the film unit appreciate the jump. It is now time for the full explosion, a sequence that can only be done once, destroying a set worth over $1 million.
And you don't go back yet. You just sort of, you stop and you start a half a step back because rocks start coming down. Then
The final preparations are completed. And with 4 cameras rolling so as not to miss any of the action, the explosion finally takes place. Now, here's more of the incredible action of Never Say Never Again.
Sean Connery is James Bond, Agent 007. Never say never again.
My name is Bond.
Oh, you're Mr. Bond. I believe I'm having you in half an hour.
Oh, splendid. Your room or mine?
Hey, Mr. Bond?
You're marvelously well equipped.
Thank you, James. So are you.
Good to see you, Mr. Bond. Things have been awfully dull round here. Bond, the game is over.
Sean Connery is Ian Fleming's James Bond in Never Say Never Again.
Effects can really affect a film. They can set the whole mood for the movie. Here to show us how to create some intriguing film effects is the editor of Cinemagic magazine. Let's meet David Hutchinson. Hi, David.
Pleasure to be here.
Nice to see you. Before the show, I was looking through some of your magazines, and the effects in them are terrific. What have you got to show us first?
Well, quite a number of things, and all of these effects have been designed and built by readers of the magazines and used in their own films. Most of the films that the kids are working with are space opera films, and one of the first things you need in a space opera film is a ray gun.
Right.
Ray guns are expensive nowadays, and you can't get them from your local hardware store, but you can make them out of ordinary household items that you might find around.
This is a soap bottle or something like
correct.
that, right?
And here's a fabric softener bottle. Here are some interesting looking caps.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some containers which pantyhose came in.
Oh, Joe Namath gives us these, right?
And
Hey,
here's,
Joe, you out there? Gotcha.
and here's an ordinary felt tip pen, which
Yeah.
isn't good for anything and doesn't write anymore.
Uh-huh.
How do we make a ray gun out of this?
Tell me.
Well, here's the body of our ray gun. Here is our radiation shield to keep from getting zapped when we fire the gun.
You need that, yeah.
And if we take the pen top here, presto, we have the anti-proton aiming device.
Uh-huh.
All of these things are glued together and painted, and what we end up with is a device that looks like this.
That's great.
Easy to build, and any kid on the block can own one.
Come on, bad guy, I got you covered. All right, very good, very good. Nice shape.
Still working in the space opera field is the problem of dealing with rocket exhaust effects. And many of our kids have written in and said, well, I've seen Battlestar Galactica and Alien and films like that, and they have beautiful rocket exhaust effects. Well, the surprise is they can do the same thing they did on exactly the same scale. And to demonstrate that, we have a model spaceship, which dates from the 50s, and a can of compressed air. This is the kind of air that you can buy at any photo shop for cleaning lenses, camera bodies, negatives.
Mm-hmm.
We've attached to the end of it some plastic tubing, and the tubing is taped to the side of the rocket and exits right at the exhaust on the bottom.
At the back end.
Now, the secret here is to tape the tubing to the side of the rocket that's going to be away from the camera.
And then you turn it away like that, for example. So
That's
it's hidden,
correct.
right? Okay. Now, how does that work?
Well, when you pull the trigger on here, we'll get a jet of white frost out the back, which will look just like a rocket exhaust.
Wonderful. Let's see that.
And I have a black card here that we can seat up again that'll
Okay.
represent our star field. And we'll turn this around like this.
There's your air. Now, just air is going to come out of there?
Just air, but it's so cold when it comes out, it looks like frost, like your breath might look on a frosty morning.
So the ship would be on a stand. Your hand wouldn't be in there, of
That's correct.
course. Or tied, rigged to the back end so you don't see it.
That's correct.
Okay.
And here we'll just